Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning.
Ezra Levant here. How you doing? It's April 12th. I'm back in Toronto in our headquarters. Over the weekend, I was with 16 of my colleagues at Rebel News. We went to Montreal. We went there to do journalism, and also we went there in support of our Montreal talent. He does some on-camera work. We typically call people on camera the talent. Yankee Pollock is his name. He also does work behind the scenes. Yankee has been targeted by Montreal police, and so we like to stand with our people. So Yankee's been covering the lockdown in Quebec, which includes a nighttime curfew, which is insane. And he goes out and the police harass him, and he's had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of tickets. So we sent a few reporters out to support him. Efron, Lincoln, Mocha, Sydney, David. And police started targeting them, including slamming handcuffs on our people, slamming our head of video. There's Efron up against the van. And then that weird underlying, are you guys Jews? Are you Jews? I don't know what Jews have to do with it. It feels, unless I'm misinterpreting it, it feels like it could be an anti-Semitic comment. And by the way, Efron is not Jewish, although I haven't checked. I just don't think he is. So, yeah, and how do you check? You know, you could get very technical. Drop them trow. But, you know, really, I'm just joking around. I'm having a little banter. Margaret and Justin are here. They're laughing. How do you check? I shouldn't laugh. This is actually not funny. I'm laughing as a stress relief because it was actually a terrible thing that happened. They were harassing Yankee. We didn't like it. So we sent Mocha, Efron, David, Sid to support. So then police harassed them, gave them tickets. You saw pushed Efron up against the van, handcuffed our people. So what do you do? When people push rebel journalists around, what do you do? Well, you don't accept it. So we brought 17 people to Montreal on the weekend. And the first thing when you're rolling with 17 people is, well, where are you going to stay? And I thought, well, let's just check Airbnb, because we'd sometimes use Airbnb to save money. But in this case, it wouldn't just be cheaper than getting 17 hotel rooms. It would be more private, and it could be like a, you know, self-contained thing. So we found a quirky little Airbnb houseboat that is permanently docked in the port of Montreal. So it's literally adjacent to the port. It's just sort of cool, and it's separate, and it's out of the way. We can have our privacy, and it was comparable in price to a modest hotel downtown. So I thought, well, that'll be fun. And I mention this because it's relevant. That Airbnb that we booked had a capacity of 21 people. We had 17. We registered with the Airbnb, which is totally legal. I'm just telling you these things because it's relevant. So we had 17 people staying in a mini hotel that had a capacity for 21. This is not an underground thing. This is not a private thing. This isn't some down low thing. This is all registered, kosher, above board, legal. And I tell you that because it's not an illegal gathering. It's not an illegal hotel. It's not, you know, it was compliant. Because we know we have to be compliant in everything we do because our enemies hunt us. So we go out on Friday night and we do journalism with Yankee. It's great. Come back to the Airbnb. Go to bed, get up Saturday morning. We send out for breakfast, DoorDash. Some breakfast arrives, we got some more on the way. 17 hungry people. Some of our people are still in bed in their rooms. Some are on the middle deck, some are on the upper deck. Just normal, just having breakfast. It's like 10:30 in the morning. Suddenly, some cops come to the edge of the boat. They come to the gate. There's a gate, and then there's a little bridge, it's called, out to the boat. And these cops try and come on the boat. And I say, whoa, 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 whoa. You're not getting it. Imagine if a cop came to your hotel room at the Holiday Inn and said, let me in your room. You'd say, no, these are reporters. You can't search their quarters. You can't search their stuff. What are you doing? We've been literally just sitting here eating breakfast. What are you doing other than the obvious? They saw us out last night in force reporting on their police misconduct, as they had seen us for weeks reporting on their misconduct in the lockdowns. They know us. They know us by name. The police know Rebel News. They know Yankee by name. And they know some of our other reporters by name. They call us by name before we even introduce ourselves. So we're having breakfast, and these two cops want to come on the boat. But they're not with Rebel News. They're not paying guests. And frankly, they've been quite rude to our people. And anyone who knows Ezra Isaac Levant knows politeness is, cleanliness is next to godliness. You got to be polite. And just coming on and, no, you got to get a search warrant. Yeah, so then I step out. You can see the gate there. You see the gate? I step out, and then a couple of my friends step out to film it. And now there's a whole swarm of cops, right? And there's David. He's talking to the cops, and there's Kian talking to the cops while filming the cops. And you see there's a gate there, and that's Lincoln holding the camera, and I don't quite recognize who everybody is. Is there any sound here? Okay, why don't we play the whole thing? I don't know what was being said there, but I'm curious, because as you can see, I was on the other side of the gate, because they weren't letting one of our people in who had some of the breakfast. Why don't we play that with sound up? Let's take a listen.
This boat? Any responsible on that boat? Is there any responsible on that boat? Nobody? If nobody is responsible for that boat, I have the right to come in the premises. I need somebody to be responsible for the boat. I don't.
Yeah, you have him over there.
Go get a warrant.
If
Go get a warrant.
you don't have the right,
Get a warrant.
to be there,
Yes, I have a right to be here. Go get a warrant now. Go get a warrant. You're not going to get in without a warrant.
Huh. Isn't that interesting? And you could see I was outside and the gate was closed, so I heard Mocha's voice, and you saw Lincoln there. And that was Jessica, one of our alumna, who was there too. And you could see that Kian was outside, David Menzies was outside, I was outside. Just play the B-roll of me just to prove that point. So I was the first to encounter the cops. Yeah, there's me. And by the way, I don't know if you, and go back there and hold the frame, because I want to show, or maybe we have other footage. They're holding on to me. I don't know if you can quite see that there. They're grabbing me. And I said, let me go. You're assaulting me. What are you holding me for? I had done nothing. And they said, you must sit down. I said, I'm not your dog. I said that. I said, I don't sit because you say sit. Yeah, so I'm not sure who slammed the door. So you see that? You see they grabbed me there? That's on the left. And we've got, why are they holding me there? Now I know the rule of thumb, don't fight with cops. So I wasn't going to try and, first of all, I'm not strong enough to take on those cops. And second of all, never take on a cop because they've got guns and they'll shoot you. Oh, and they were asking me, and you see there's one of our team with breakfast. We had some breakfast on the boat and they wouldn't let her on the boat. And that became a 10-hour standoff. We wouldn't let them on the boat without a search warrant. They couldn't find a judge to give them a search warrant. So they turned, you see how many bikes there? And then they had the police cars and then police trucks. I think they had 50 police in this raid. But we just kept saying, get a warrant. Like, look at all the cops there. Like, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't even count because they're not all. I assure you that throughout the day, the course of the 10-hour siege, there were 50 cops for sure. And cops kept coming and going, different cops, different. It was quite strange. And okay, so what did they accuse us of? You must be thinking we did something terrible. You can see it was about 10:30 a.m. or whatever time it was, so that we didn't have a late night party that was disturbing the neighbors. That wasn't what was going on. We didn't have any strangers on the boat, and even if we did, that would be all right. There was just the 17 of us registered guests. I think they changed what they accused us of throughout the day. I don't know in the end what it finally was, but I read in La Presse today that they accused us of an illegal gathering. But it wasn't a gathering, that's a hotel. Now it's a unusual hotel, it's a houseboat, but it's registered with the Port of Montreal. It's registered with Airbnb, it pays taxes, it's extremely compliant. That is a special administrative area, and there's so many rules. The owner of the boat came down, by the way, and I talked to him at great length, and he said something very interesting. I don't know if we have any footage of him. He was wearing an orange shirt, orange jacket, and he had a mask on. He was a lovely man, such a nice guy. And he starts getting these phone calls that there's like this massive police operation against his houseboat. So he comes down. He's thinking, what, did the Hells Angels book my place? No, it's just us. And I talked to him and I said, no, we were just having breakfast. We were about to go out. It's the 17 of us that we registered with you. And I'm sure he didn't believe me, because it makes no sense to have 50 cops raid a boat if all you were doing is being a journalist. But then he talked, let's just keep putting B-roll up as I'm talking, because I don't want it to be as boring as me just sitting here. Yeah, so, there you go. So you see the guy in the orange sweater there? So he went to talk to police, and I thought, oh, what lies are they telling him? And I asked him. He came back to me. I said, what are they saying? By the way, look how gorgeous Montreal is, eh? And he said, I thought the police would have packed his head with lies about us. I was worried that they were trying to turn him against us, because he's probably not used to conflict. He's in the tourism business. He's a small businessman. He's got a little Airbnb. It's his source of income. He came back to me and he said something incredible that I did not expect him to say. He said, I hope, he might have even said, I pray, I hope you're right and I hope they're wrong. Because, and I said, what do you mean? He said, because if they're right, and they can ban an Airbnb for being an illegal gathering, then I'm out of business. I can't have an Airbnb, because if they deem a hotel, that's what an Airbnb is. The B&B stands for bed and breakfast. I can assure you that the boat it had 11 different rooms, each with their own key. It was like a mini hotel. The reason we did it is because when you have 17 people traveling, it was cheaper and more fun to be together and more private. In retrospect, I wonder if police would have tried to raid our rooms if it was in like a Holiday Inn. Maybe. I was glad that I was there when they tried to come aboard. But show that again. Are there other images of the police? I'm not going to say, they didn't beat me up. They didn't punch me. There was one cop that tried to trip me, and he sort of poked me a bit, like pinched me, but it didn't really hurt. It was more shocking that the cops would, yeah. And so you see they grabbed me there, and later they marched me away, and the cops have this move. I saw them try it on Efron once. They walk you and they step on your foot while you're walking to try and make you trip. Oh, you stumbled! And you could see, this is a little bit later, this is a great one, you could see that people were gathering. They had driven us up the ramp by here. Do you see how many cops are there now? Just madness. And look on and there's Lincoln, and look on the right, a massive crowd had gathered, and every single one of them, these are just Montrealers down at the old port, every single one, these are just strangers filming. One person said, Are they making a movie here? Someone actually thought they were making a movie because they thought, what are 50 police here for? It was such a spectacle.
I got it.
And you can see the police cars down there on the left. So they marched us up. Do we have any footage of when the police were using their bikes as a weapon? Because that was quite something. They're on their bikes and then they slam the bikes at your feet. The police have such dirty moves. I think the grossest, and I've seen Toronto police do this and Montreal police do this, is they walk you and they step on your foot hard so that you'll trip. And they pinch you, and they're smart enough to do it beneath the field of view of your handheld camera. It's a dirty move by dirty cops. And they did that to me. And again, it didn't like really hurt. I mean, it was slightly painful just while they did it. It's not the kind of pain that, like if you get punched hard, that pain lingers after the punch. In this case, they sort of pinched me and stepped on my toe. It didn't particularly hurt. It's just that it was an assault. And the stomping on the foot thing was an attempt to make me trip. And who knows, if you trip and fall, maybe you hurt your head or something. It was a concrete floor. So, and the whole time I'm thinking, why? Because I'm not going to let you on the boat? Get a warrant. What do you even are accusing us of doing? It's so obvious what they're accusing us of doing. Journalism. I want to say one more thing about the houseboat owner. It's a houseboat, but it's permanently docked there. So it's just sort of like a cool way of staying in Montreal if you want privacy. And if you've got a team of 17 people, instead of staying in a hotel, which is like a hassle and not private, just stay together. I thought it was cool. And it's about the same price. Yeah, oh yeah, see, you see they started marching, I think. Yeah, you see they're starting to push. You see yeah, this is key footage. So you see all the police car, and now they're about to use their bikes as weapons. You see they're pushing, and you're going to see on the left-hand side there, and I'm giving some cops some what for. Actually, there was a fat cop there, and I went up to him and I said, "You give me hope, fatty, because if you can be a cop, so can I." I found him very you see that? Look what that cop's doing. You see that? You see that? Look at that. Look at that. Turn up the volume. Turn up the volume.
You fucking tug! Crooked tug! You're a gang member! You're a gang member!
I didn't swear, by the way. The guy using the F word was not me. I was saying
disgusting.
Crooked cop. Crooked cop.
Disgrace, that's why you hide your face. Who's the one who called us Jews? You call us masked thugs. Masked thugs. Masked thugs.
There was a lot of different people shouting. I did some shouting.
This is gonna end one day.
These crooked bigots, when they came to our
Yeah, I'm pointing out they called us Jew media. So I called them bigots.
Look at these mobsters here.
Look at the crowd that had gathered.
Good job, brother. Watch you all the time.
Look at them push that girl.
You're holding my card.
That's Jessica.
Stop assaulting her.
Brave
Stop
cops
assaulting
pushing
her.
a woman.
You criminal. You thug. You gang member.
I think that may have been Mocha.
Look at these mobsters. Who do you represent?
All the way to Toronto. What are you doing?
Hey, don't touch her. Don't touch her.
There's Yankee
Look
on the
at
left.
him. Look at him.
Always trying to keep the peace. Blessed are the
See
peacemakers.
his name. See his face. He has no problem touching a female, pushing us. Criminal. Thug.
Thank you for showing that. So you see basically what happened is first they wanted on the boat. I said no. Then they wouldn't let me get back on the boat. And then they called the whole thing a crime scene and then pushed us off. And you could see it was quite a spectacle. There were hundreds of people who had gathered. Many of them were shouting at the police. In fact, I said to one of the police, I said, there's some things that these hecklers are saying about you that even I won't say. I think I swore once, and that's not my style. My style is to swear a lot. No, I think I only swore once, actually, and it was when they were going after one of the female staffers, whose name I'm not going to name. And it just made me very mad that they were picking on a girl. So that was the one moment I swore. I don't think I swore the rest of the day. Now, I did use the word thug. I did say corrupt. I said the word corrupt like 200 times. I said shame about 200 times. I called them oath breakers. But I only swore once when they were picking on a girl. But that's sort of gross, eh? You saw them pushing Jessica and you saw that bike thing. Why? Because they thought we had an illegal gathering. It's not an illegal gathering. It's a hotel, you idiots. They knew exactly what they were doing. Anyhow, there was a moment there. Let me stop myself because we're 20 minutes in and I haven't even mentioned what we're doing here. We're doing our daily live stream. And we have been demonetized on YouTube, so there's a little link at the top in the chat box there. Can you show what happens when you click on it? If you go to that little link in the top of the chat box, it opens up something called Streamlabs. And it's a way for folks to chip in a couple of bucks to help us out. Because normally YouTube allows us to do something called Super Chats, which is a way to monetize our channel. Now YouTube, without explanation, warning, or appeal, just suddenly decided to demonetize us. And that cost us about 400 grand a year. Now I don't know if they did that on their own, or frankly, if the police asked them to do it. Go to, you just go to the Streamlabs button there. You open up the page. You give yourself a screen name, and it has to be one word. You can't use more than two words, more than one word. Choose the dollar amount, and then type a message, and then enter your credit card info. And the reason we ask for this is because one of the ways we stay independent is these super chats, or now we call them rebel chats. So thank you for letting me put that little ad in the middle of this show. But I think it's suspicious that YouTube demonetized us right as we were shining a light of scrutiny on Canada's police forces. So we used to make 400 grand a year from YouTube. That was cut off. So if you can help us out by going to that Streamlabs link, there is another way to do it. We have a page that we're going to put all this stuff on called lockdownreports.com. Can you go there just for 1 second? So Lockdown Reports, we're trying to get 3,000 donors to help pay for this. And there are some legal bills that will be incoming. Now we've got some tweets up there. Scroll down just to show what's on the page. We were there to show some Antifa riots last night. Oh yeah, there's when they arrested David. Should we play that clip now? Sure, the reason why I want to show this clip is you saw how they were pushing our people around physically, including me. I'm going to show you when they arrested David, one of my favorite guys. I mean, David's so nice. He's likable, but he's a great journalist. When I say he's nice, I don't mean he's dumb or a pushover. He has a friendliness and a politeness. I don't think he swore on the weekend either. But when I mean nice, I mean he's not malicious. That's what I mean. And yet the police know that he's a tenacious journalist. So they arrested him. And before I show you the clip of that, let me tell you what the police said to me through our lawyer. By the way, we had a lawyer who was on the scene in 15 minutes, and he was there all day. He did a great job. A French-Canadian lawyer, so he was speaking French natively to the police. I think that made a difference, as opposed to an Anglo lawyer. It was great that we had a French-speaking lawyer. So through the lawyer, the cop said to me, this is what they said: we will keep David in jail as long as you don't let us on the boat. If you want David out of jail, let us on the boat. Without a warrant, I'm saying. Can you believe that? So they try and storm our boat around 10, 11 a.m., whatever, I don't know the exact time. I say get a warrant. They start pushing me and our people around, start banning our people from getting on our own boat. Then they start pushing us away. They arrest David. We'll show that clip in a second. And I say get a warrant because I know a little bit about the law. So they try and get a warrant. And 1 hour turns into 2, turns into 3, turns into 4, turns into 5 hours, turns into 6 hours, and they don't have a warrant. Now, maybe they're not trying. Maybe they're just all enjoying getting overtime on a weekend, on a sunny day, harassing Rebel News. That's quite possible. They didn't even try. But they sure had a lot of manpower on it. I think I heard conflicting things, and we'll find out in the course of time. My final understanding, so one theory is they didn't actually try and get a warrant. Another theory, and this is my theory, is maybe they couldn't find a judge on a weekend who would give them the time of day, although you can do applications for warrants over the phone or over Zoom. I think, and this is, I think this is what our lawyer told me. I'm gonna have to double check. So many different people were saying, I mean, you're in the fog of war, right? What's going on? They could not get a judge who would say yes. I'm told they shopped it around and no judge would say yes. So here they are, they want to get on our boat just to, I don't even exactly know what. At one point they told our lawyers, we just want to check there's no one else on the boat. Well, first of all, that's none of your damn business. By the way, there wasn't anyone else on the boat. It was just the 7. Who do they think was on the boat? You know, this isn't Roxham Road. We're not smuggling anyone in. By the way, if I haven't made it clear, the boat is permanently anchored there. I mean, it probably still goes, but if it had to, but the boat doesn't move. Like if you think we were like sailing around, no, it's a houseboat that's just there all the time. So what do they think? We were like smuggling something in from the Bahamas or I don't know, from Panama? So like, who did they think they were looking for? They never said. I think they have some theory that we were breaking the laws against illegal gatherings. It wasn't a gathering, it was an Airbnb. They said, we will release David from jail if you let us on the boat. Well, hang on, how are those two things related? Are you literally treating him like a hostage? Did you arrest him just to put pressure on us to get a warrantless and illegal search and seizure of our stuff? You saw that cop saying, who is responsible for this boat? Tell me who's responsible for this boat or I can come in. Did you see that? Remember that cop said that? I had just told him I was responsible for the boat. I had given them my name. Do you have the clip I tweeted of me giving my name? So you see how he was lying? Like I had identified, I was the very first point of contact they had with the boat. I said, I'm the tenant, I'm telling you get a search warrant, go to hell. And then I gave them my name and my spelling and I gave them my address. And then he came to the boat and lied, that wicked, deceiving liar. Did you hear him say to the other youngsters, if no one's responsible, are you responsible? It was like he was using tricky language. I can come on the boat. Now, our team knows enough to say get a warrant. But do you see that little lying trick? And the reason I say that is, and we'll show that in a second, is there was no way I was going to cut a deal with these crooked cops because they would they were lying in real time. Here's me just introducing myself to a cop. Take a listen.
Sir, how do you spell it?
E
Yep.
Z R A
And your last name is?
L E V A N T.
And your date of birth? T? The last letter is a T?
That's right. But you will know me as plaintiff for suing you for assault and false arrest. M. Montagna, what's your badge number, please?
Yeah. So they wanted my name, I told them. And then I asked their name and they told me. And I said, fellas, you're wearing a mask now, but I'll see your face. I'll see you in court. We'll get to know each other pretty well, fellas. I think they knew what they were doing was illegal. I think they're just so used to it because no one pushes back. I think no one has ever stood up to them. No one has ever said, you're corrupt. We sure did, didn't we? So when they said they said we've got David as a hostage. If you want him back, let us on the boat. And again, they were liars. You saw they were wicked liars the whole way through. You can't trust a thing. But more to the point, you can't take a hostage to get illegal access to our boat. That's really what they did. Here, let's play the footage of of them pushing David around and that whole provoked scene. I think they provoked this. Take a look.
Touch him! Did you touch him? Why did you touch him?
Because he was getting hit
No, he drove into me. He drove into me.
Are you hiding your
Seven,
name?
eight, oh, eight.
Keep your distance.
You
Hey!
want to get arrested for that?
You got arrested?
Here are the thugs!
Why?
Here are the thugs! Here come the thugs!
Shame! 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 Shame!
You're a
Shame!
disgrace.
Shame!
That
Look
is.
what they're doing to David!
You're not just a
You're a
police
journalist! You're all pieces of shit! Shame on you! Shame! 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 Look what this! I'm going.
Send fucking 10 thugs down for the fucking car and push it. Fucking pig. Take off your guns and badges. See how fucking tough you are. Throw your guns and badges. You have any fucking balls, you stupid fucking pig. Please stop. You know how old that man is that you're fucking attacking, you stupid shit? You must feel good when you go.
The word we were saying was shame. I don't know if you could hear that clearly. Now, there was some other language there from some bystanders. I want to let you know that neither I nor anyone else I heard on our team used the word pigs. I never used that word to describe cops. I don't think the F word was used. In that case, it was by a bystander pretty clearly. And he also called them a stupid SHIT. And they said, you know how old David is? I think David is 59. Is that right? But he's pretty fit for 59, although he does have, and I don't think I'm telling a secret here, 2 fake hips. Is that a secret? It's not anymore, is it? I think he's talked about that in public. I don't want to talk about. He said that on TV? So he's, I don't want to give away his medical privacy, although obviously I just did. I've heard him talk about these things in public so much. I truly don't believe I'm violating his privacy. And by the way, these will all come out in the lawsuit we're going to file against the Montreal police. He's a diabetic. I don't know if that's relevant. It might be to the fact they put him in a room for 6 hours with nothing to eat. That might be relevant there, with no medicine or anything else. They did say, I mean, I don't think his artificial hips are a secret, and if they are, I apologize to him. I just have heard I've heard that discussed so many times, including by him, I think, that I hope I haven't violated his privacy. But you can see that bystander, like that bystander who was shouting down, you stupid shit, that wasn't with our team. As you could see, throughout the day, a crowd of people gathered, and they were using language against the police that was extremely sharp. In fact, when I was talking to the police, I said, whatever I'm saying about you, and I use words like shame, disgrace, oath breakers, corrupt. I did say thug. I said, all these things I'm saying to you, it's nothing compared to what your own citizens say. I said, how does it feel to not have the trust, respect, love, support, solidarity of your own people. Like, I'm a Torontonian, I'm a journalist, I have my own agenda, but your local Montreal citizens, they hate you. Can you do me a little experiment here? Go to Google, open up a Google search, and I'm just going to tell you to type in 3 words. And I'm going to show you an incredible thing. Okay, go up to the Google search and type in Montreal police corruption. And just show what it finds. First of all, how many, can you pump up the size a little bit? 2.5 million results. 4 Montreal police officers charged after investigation. Montreal police corruption, allegation of corruption, brutality, key findings. 2 years after damning report, Montreal Police Service, Montreal's decade of police scandals, police corruption scandal, a gang of cowboys, Montreal police chief suspended, Montreal's police scandal, the Montreal police corruption scandal. New head of Quebec anti-corruption police admits to failure. New head of Quebec admits to failure. Former head of Quebec anti-corruption police unit testifies how Plante and Drapeau licked the Montreal underworld. Sure, yeah, they gave him badges. Corruption in Canada, corruption accusations in Montreal police force. Montreal police fabricated evidence to intimidate colleagues. Quebec puts English school board under trust. Montreal police face a storm of criticism over surveillance. Just cop versus cop. Quebec's corruption scandal. The Anti-Corruption Act, ouverture d'enquête de activities illicit et la corruption. Soupçon de corruption. Just a little soupçon of corruption, nothing more. Brutality and menaces. You don't have to speak French to know what that means. Corruptions in an industry. Quebec's anti-corruption police arrest 2 suspects. Yeah, did they arrest each other? I mean, what did you say? There was 2 million hits here? Montreal City Hall raided by anti-corruption police. And then those anti-corruption police were probably raided by other anti-corruption police. I mean, it really is the most corrupt police force in Canada. And I don't want to say in North America, because Chicago's got a reputation for corruption. Louisiana, at least under Huey Long, had a reputation for corruption. I don't want to shortchange any of those places. America's a big place. But I think Montreal would be a pretty big contender. Pretty big contender for most corrupt police force. So yeah, when I said thug, oathbreaker, unethical, corrupt, those were the nice words. You could hear some of the bad words said by their own citizens. Folks, just a reminder what we're doing here. We're giving you the news that no one else will. And you can see why. Do you think CBC, CTV, global reporters are brave enough? Can you call up my tweet about Stuart Bell? Most reporters are cowards. Most reporters don't actually report. They just give their little woke opinions. They write little listicles for Vice or Huffington Post Canada. Oh, not them anymore. Yeah, so look at this. Just scroll down for a second. Stuart Bell, he works for Global News. Montreal police arrest clowns pretending to be press. And you can see I'm in the red vest there. The white shirt is David. The black shirt in front of him is our friend Yankee. And I can make out Lincoln J on the right, and I think that's Jessica in the middle there. So Montreal police arrest clowns pretending to be press, and that's Stuart Bell with Global News. And then scroll up, here's what I said. I said, this makes me a little sad because I used to know Stuart. He spoke at a town hall I hosted in Calgary after 9/11. But it makes me a lot sad because he's a journalist cheering for the arrest of other journalists just because he disagrees with us. I am a little sad. How many retweets or likes did I get? A lot of people really responded to this. Yeah, 2,494 likes. A lot of people were mad at Stuart for not realizing that although he's trying to express his disagreement with us, and that's fine. I actually agree with the majority of what Stuart, I think he's actually one of the best reporters at Global. I think he's gone woke a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe just to survive in that company, you have to. I mean, he's a 50-year-old straight white male. So he's got like 6 bullseyes on him. And he reports on the terrorism beat. So, you know, oh, you're straight, you're white, you're 50, you're male, and you write about Muslim terrorism. I mean, how does it even still work? So maybe part of the answer is by denouncing Rebel News, that buys him some, you know, breathing room at Global News. But that's a shame because I don't agree with everything Stuart says, but if Stuart were roughed up this way, like physically roughed up, I would be appalled. And I absolutely would help. And, you know, I think we show that. Do you notice that there hasn't been a single statement about the police raid on our boat by any mainstream media? Other than those sort of cheering it on. Just like a few weeks ago when we saw that the U.S. Navy was spying on us. Not a word from the Civil Liberties Association, the journalists, the free speech people, not a word. I find that odd. Now did I give a bit of a speech? Do we have that? Now speech, it's a little more than a speech, it's a little bit of a rant. And Margaret was worried I might like have a, Margaret was worried that maybe I was going to have like a burst of blood vessel or something. And it is true, I don't think I've ever been that mad before. But let me explain myself. When you were up against 50 people with guns who were clearly rogue, what can you do? You don't want to touch them. I didn't touch them. I don't think I swore once when they were picking on a girl with our team, but I did it once in the whole day. And I think it was appropriate, frankly. There was a fat cop I called fat because he was, and I sort of liked him because I think, okay, it's like we're part of a secret club that's not so secret, unfortunately. How can you identify another fat guy on the street? Is there like a secret code you have? No, you just see him. So me and the fat cop really got along. But other than that, I was very mad. So I used all of the words I could, and I spoke as loud as I could. Why? I don't know. To let the police know we wouldn't go quietly? To try and reach any conscience they might have had? To encourage my own team, maybe? There was a large audience that I was talking to, a public audience. I wanted them to witness it. But I think mainly because of the tremendous injustice that was going on. They were threatening to storm our Airbnb and search the private belongings of our reporters as vengeance. So I was incredibly mad. I felt the situation was incredibly unjust. And all I could do was express my rage. Because I felt powerless in the moment. Now, we will have power soon enough when we sue every last one of them for false arrest, false imprisonment, assault, abuse of office. And I think there is some underlying bigotry there towards Yankee. I really do. Jew media, are you a Jew? That's weird. Anyhow, here, take a look at my rant.
But let me tell you what I told these thugs earlier today. They asked me my name and I told them my name. And I asked them their names and they told me their names. And I said, we are going to get to know you intimately because we are going to sue you forever. We are going to sue these thugs forever for assault, for false imprisonment, for abuse of office. And you know what else? For being a racist bunch of thugs. And why do I call them racist? Because again and again, when Montreal police accost our reporters, you know what they call us? Jew media. Are you a Jew, they say. These thugs, when they see us on the street, say, are you Jew media? Well, most of our reporters are not, but I am, sir. And I will see you in court for your bigotry. I will get to know them intimately because we are going to spend years together and I will see your wicked faces no matter what your masks are. My name is Ezra Levant, and I work with dozens of independent journalists who don't take a dime of money from any government. And that is the reason why we can show you the police brutality. Thug, come here. Coward, come here. Come on camera. You bigoted bully, come on camera. These cowards are pretty frickin' brave when the cameras aren't on, which is why they raided our Airbnb. But when the cameras are rolling, they run and hide. Run and hide, coward. This raid on our journalists will not stand. If you want to help us fight back journalistically, if you want to help us fight back legally, go down to lockdownreports.com. That's lockdownreports.com. My name is Ezra Levant, and if you think I'm mad, I have only just begun. Go to lockdownreports.com. Cowards, come forward. Cowards, show your faces.
I was very mad, but what can you do? My lawyer was already there. Someone wants illegal access to my Airbnb. If that happens, normally you call the cops. Well, what if it's the cops who want illegal access to your Airbnb? I think by that point, David had already been arrested and packed in the back of the car. Oh, so David was in the, okay, so I just heard there, thank you, I wasn't looking at the screen the whole time when that played. So David had not yet been arrested. The police came outside. See, that's what bugs me. See, we were all on the side of the ribbon, the police state. They came outside to push David and grab him in. It was their patented move that they've been using at these lockdown protests of physically grabbing people to punish them, or in this case, really a kind of hostage. Because like I said earlier, they said to my lawyer, if you let us on the boat without a warrant, we'll let David Menzies out of jail. Is that not sort of the legal definition of kidnapping or extortion? I mean, if David did something wrong, which I dispute, which I deny, which we will defend, then that's its own matter. Are you bargaining? Well, we'll drop our case against David if you let us have something we're not legally entitled to. Is that how it works? I can only imagine these police. You know, I can just see that strategy applied. So let's say you're, a cop, you're inspecting a store for something. And you say, that's illegal, that's illegal, that's illegal, that's illegal. I'm going to give you all these tickets unless you give me something I'm not legally entitled to. Like, can I get a free bottle of wine? Can I take a free bag of groceries? You know, I mean, that's basically police using extortion based on their badge and their gun and their office. The police arrested David. Now I'm telling you that David will be found not guilty. We will fight all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. You know us. We stand by David. You saw the tape yourself. But just for the purpose of my point here, let us assume hypothetically that David did do something wrong. Okay, so we put that over there because that's its own thing. The dirty cops, the corrupt cops, the on-the-take cops, the cops with 2.5 million hits on Google when you type in Montreal police corruption. I was surprised. I thought it would be like 500. It is 2.5 million. So these dirty cops, the most corrupt police force in Canada, perhaps North America, but I don't want to shortchange Chicago or Louisiana. The most corrupt police force in Canada, that for sure, arrests David for a crime. It's BS, but and then they say, oh, okay, so we'll give up this arrest if you just, can we get in your boat? We don't have a search warrant. No judge will give us a search warrant. Can you just let us in your boat? No? If we grab David and put him in a dirty jail cell for 6 hours, will you let us in your boat if we let him free? Is that not sort of the definition of a crooked cop? I'm trying to think if there's other things in here that we should show now. We showed Menzies arrested. We showed them pushing us back. We showed my rant. Showed me talking to the cop. Show the staff. Show Efron. Is it any good? You know what? Let me do this because it's 12:50 and I haven't read a single super chat. I want to tell you how it ends. So here was what was on my mind. I didn't know what judge was saying what. I was talking to our lawyer was on the scene, but where was the action? The cops were not going on the boat. They were roughing us up, as you saw, but they were not on the boat. So what was going on elsewhere that we didn't know about? Was there some prosecutor or some police going before a judge somewhere? So I said to my guys, we want to see what information the cops are putting to the judge to get that search warrant. I don't know what it's called in Quebec, but in Ontario there's something called an ITO, information to obtain a search warrant. So typically when cops go after a bad guy, they go to the judge and they say, we'd like a search warrant, here's the information to obtain it, and those applications are usually, obviously, done without the suspect's knowledge, otherwise you tip them off, right? A search warrant isn't very good if the other guy knows you're coming the next day. So those ITO, those search warrant applications are done, another Latin word, sorry, ex parte. That means without the other guy there. You're just one party is there, the other party's not there. So judges typically are a little more skeptical of ex parte applications because they're thinking, okay, says you, but I'm going to throw some more Latin at you. There's a phrase in law, audi alterum partem, which means hear the other side. That's actually our motto, telling the other side of the story. In every quarrel, there's two sides, maybe three, maybe more, right? So one of the age-old rules of justice is hear the other side. Let the other side at least have its say, even if it's BS. Let them have their say. Maybe there's some fact. So if cops go to a judge and without the other party to have their say, judges ought to be a little more skeptical than normal because they have to, in their own mind, play devil's advocate or say, well, what would the other guy maybe be saying if he were here, right? So I was trying to get into any application so it wouldn't be an ex parte search warrant request. We would be there because I was worried the police were going to cook up all sorts of weird lies about us. Oh, there was a crime on the boat. It's a drug smuggling boat, or I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, Montreal police plant evidence on people. They lie. They cover it. We just saw that. So, what would they say to a judge to get a search warrant? I was really worried that they were going to get it because you saw that they were lying to us even in real time. I was worried that the Montreal police would create some crazy lie that any Quebec judge would say, "Yikes! Rebel News is doing that? Yeah, go into the hotel and search that place." And so I was worried about that. But I also felt, because the cops kept saying, "Oh, just let us in. If we'll let Menzies go, if you let us in, can we do a deal with you to let?" So it was weird. At the same time, they claimed they were trying to get this search warrant, and 10 hours went by. So they were becoming more and more desperate to cut a deal to search the boat. And I didn't want to bend the knee on principle. But I was also worried that if they did search the boat, would we be there to accompany them? Because I was worried they were going to plant evidence on us, like fake evidence, contraband, drugs, I don't know, a weapon. Montreal has the dirtiest police force in Canada. Imagine if they had access to Rebel News reporters' personal effects, suitcases, purses, toiletries, whatever, rooms, and I wasn't there, and we weren't there. Imagine what they would plant. So, I was talking through our lawyer a little bit about, well, maybe our lawyer would be there with one. I just really wanted someone in the boat, because I thought there was a chance they would get that search warrant, and that colored a lot of my thinking. Because that's the worst case scenario. What if they go on the boat? Can we get someone there to observe? How do we make sure they don't plant evidence on because it was, obviously an Airbnb, it's just a kind of a hotel. If you don't know what Airbnb is, it's a very popular app, really. It's like a rideshare app like Uber, but it's that for like bed and breakfast. But they're not just bed and breakfast. They can be big hotels, one room in an apartment. Like it's really revolutionized the hotel business. And as I said, we liked this because it was a self-contained, it was like renting a whole small hotel to ourselves. Imagine cops getting access to your hotel. So that's why I was fighting, and I didn't want to bend the knee. And then suddenly, no notice, no explanation, no one came over to talk to us. I just saw they started wrapping up that police tape. Do you have that video? I think I tweeted it. So we were all pushed away from the area. Our cars were down there too, by the way. I think we had 3 or 4 vehicles, and they wouldn't let us take our cars out. They just wouldn't. So they effectively impounded our cars, impounded the boat, seized the boat, searched our people getting off the boat, which is illegal. I was worried about them searching. I wasn't so much worried about that, although that's illegal. I was worried about them planting something on the boat. I really was. Because it would be like James Comey saying, hey, can I go in your hotel room when no one else is there? Yeah, crook, no thanks. So I was standing up. I think I was a tweet I did. I think I had a drudge siren. I said victory or something. And I just filmed just the cops just sort of packing up. They didn't even tell us anything. They just abandoned their whole 10-hour siege. What? Why did they do that? They were making great overtime pay. Did they run out of money? Yeah. Did I say anything here, or was it just B-roll? So you can see they're wrapping it up. So you can see it's dusk already. We've still got 10 cops there. Just wrapping, I was standing there because I wanted to, some of our people had moved on already to other projects, but I wanted to be there. Yeah, huge victory. Montreal's police could not get a judge to approve their search warrant. They blinked. The police have run away from the crime scene. I'm back in. Viva le Quebec libre. Lockdown reports. And then my next video, I was actually on the boat. And you could see it was dusk by now, so they literally had our whole boat seized. I'm calling it a boat. It's permanently moored there. It's an Airbnb houseboat. 10 hours. So I go back on the boat. The cops never went in. I was standing right there because if a cop went in without the warrant, I wanted to catch it on film, right? Because these are slippery fish. These are corrupt, crooked. Do I need to prove to you how corrupt these cops are? So go to the next video where I'm literally standing on the boat.
It's 7:42 p.m., another beautiful night in Montreal. Look how gorgeous it is. But I've spent the last 10 or 11 hours kicked off this Airbnb houseboat that we paid for because a group of Montreal police demanded access to the boat for no probable cause with no search warrant. That's the gate right there. I told them to get lost without a search warrant. So they turned the whole place into a crime scene, literally putting up criminal do not pass police tape. They arrested my friend David Menzies and held him in a police station for hours. And they roughed up, they even pushed me around a little bit, and Kean Bexley too. Trouble is, they couldn't find a judge to sign their cockamamie search warrant because we did nothing wrong. We rented an Airbnb that had a capacity of 21, and there were only 17 of us here, and we were just having breakfast. It's really a hotel, that's all. So I'm very happy to say I'm back on the boat. I don't know if you can tell that. I'm literally on the boat. There's 3 cops down there, but, they're just enjoying the overtime they're making. And, we're going to retake the boat. We're on the high seas. I mean, my nickname at Rebel News is the Rebel Commander, so I guess I'm the commander of a boat again. Anyways, the police disgraced themselves. I'm glad that we didn't knuckle under to their bullying. And I'm sorry that David Menzies was put into custody so illegally. I still love Montreal. In fact, I love it even more because now I know how badly it's being victimized by police. It does not deserve this awful police force that it has. And they're frankly shameful. And if they think they're going to stop us from reporting on their brutal policing of the lockdown, they're dead wrong. And they're going to have to do a bit better than they did today.
We still have a lot of legal bills. We're told that massive fines will be coming to us in the mail. We're going to have to fight them, and I think we have to go on the offensive too. Please help us with that. I can't fight this fight alone. We're massively overspent. You saw that outspent like 100 to 1. You saw what they had going on today. So if you can, please go to lockdownreports.com. Thanks very much, everybody. We had a win today. Let's savor it. We had a lot of sun there, eh? It was a very hot, sunny day, and I should never have the camera that close to my face. But yeah, it was in the hot sun. They wouldn't let us on the boat. I had to go to the bathroom, and they wouldn't let me on the boat. I needed some medicine. No big deal. Don't be worried. But they wouldn't let me on the boat. Why? They didn't have a search warrant. They couldn't seize the boat. They simply declared it a crime scene and would not let me go back on the boat. That's not lawful. And the thing is, that's the culmination of a month of police abuse against us. Now, it's exactly 1:01, and I've been yapping for an hour. I want to whip through the super chats because that's our style. So I'm going to try and do it very quickly. Looks like I've got about 30 of them here, or even more. I'm going to get through half of them, or maybe even more. I'm just trying to think if there's any other videos from the... Oh, right. Okay. Justin just tells me in my ear there's a couple more videos that are of interest. But you know what? I want to say thanks to everyone who's been chipping in through what we call Rebel Chats, because our main YouTube account has been demonetized. So we set up this workaround. You can also make a donation at lockdownreports.com. Can you go to that page? Here's what we need the money for, if you want to know. I mean, we do spend money on travel. This weekend was a big travel. 17 of us went there. So we're trying to hit 3,000 donors to chip in. And what do we do with the donations? Well, we travel, especially to Quebec, but also other cities. We have reporters in Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto. We sometimes send people to Ottawa. Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there? But now, here, let me tell you the legal bills I got. So obviously we're going to fight like hell for David. I read in the press they're going to be sending us tickets in the mail. I'm assuming they're going to give every single one of our people a $1,550 fine for being on the boat. So what's 17? I won't be able to do that in my head. I'm not like a human computer like Joe Biden. If I said, Joe Biden, what's 17 times $1,550? He would tell you. He'd say, no malarkey, that's a big number. $26,350. That's my prediction of the fines we're going to get in the mail. 17 times $1,550. Obviously, we're not going to pay it. We're going to fight it. And we're going to fight the criminal charge against David. But do you agree with me that we need to go on the offense? Do you agree with me it's really, really weird that they're doing things like calling us Jew media? Are you a Jew, 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 Jew? I think that's weird. I don't want to misunderstand that because I don't want to falsely cry anti-Semitism, but I actually really think it's bigotry. Like, why are you bringing up religion? What's religion got to do with it? You know, I was thinking about who we had there. I mean, Yankee is Jewish, and I'm Jewish. But we had people there who were Muslim, who were Christian, who I don't even know what they were. I didn't ask. I mean, we don't talk about it that much here. But, so Jew media, that's just a really weird thing, and it comes up again and again. And they were harassing Yankee even last night. They pushed him. Yankee said the police pushed him last night. So I think we have to sue the police. Now, you may know. Can you go to journalistdefensefund.com? We use that for so many things that might, for all I know, be I don't even know if that's the right website. Journalistdefensefund.com. There's not much on it right now. Let's take a look. Journalist Defense. Scroll down just a little bit, if you please. Is this our lawsuit against the Toronto police? Oh, that's all that's there. Okay. Well, I thought, thank you for that. We'll have to repurpose that website. I thought our lawsuit against the Toronto police would be up there. We're suing the Toronto police and 10 or 11 of their officers for pushing us around. And I believe we have to sue the Montreal police. I believe we have to sue them for pretty much all of it, for interfering with our lawful tenancy of that Airbnb, for interfering with our vehicles, for physically banning us from entering or leaving, for illegal searching what our people as they left the Airbnb, for assault against me, Kian, David, for false arrest of David, false imprisonment of David. And the thing is, all of it is based on a vendetta that has been going on for over a month. So I think not only do we have to defend against the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in fines they're going to try and send to us, but we have to proactively do something to help unclog the drain of corruption. Got to drain the corruption. Obviously, the corruption in Montreal is very old and it's been there forever. It's almost like that's, Montreal, how many mayors in a row have been, like how many mayors in Quebec resigned in a corruption probe a few years ago? It was like dozens, wasn't it? Entire city councils, wasn't it? In fact, the last two mayors, I think. So obviously we're not going to clean up the swamp, but we have to try, don't you think? Let's read some super chats. The Patriot Canadian Maine donated $5. Just hope you all sued the police. They are the brown shirts. They certainly acted like it. Sheila's friend Justin donated $2. Videos of Masjid al-Rashid Mosque in Edmonton and Akram Joma Islamic Center in Calgary. Parking lots packed full while Grace Life is barricaded. That's a great point. I don't see this kind of enforcement against other religions that we saw in Grace Life Church. I'm sorry we haven't had a chance to talk about that today. Philip Brevard, $80. Thanks for having come to Quebec to hear our plight, rebels. You are the canaries in the coal mine of freedom. What you do is important at a historical level. Someday we'll have justice. Resistons. Thank you, Philip, and thanks for being such a great supporter. Timothy Robert Salzman, $50. Ezra, your anger at the cops is justified and righteous. Jesus himself never struck back at folks who insulted or attacked him, but he showed fury at those who abused his children. Thanks for what you do, watching daily all the way from Austin, Texas. Well, thanks very much. The one time I did swear was when they were messing around with one of the women on our boat. And actually, they did that twice, which really bugged me. Humongous, $4. Nothing boils my blood more than these low-life cops. There is no doubt that if these scum were in Nazi Germany, they would be death camp guards. See, I didn't use the word scum. I didn't use the word, like there's this acronym, ACAB, all cops are bastards. I don't use that acronym. I don't use the word pigs. I don't use the word scum. I try not to use words that are inherently dehumanizing, like animal names, like calling someone vermin, or I don't even like rats or lice. These words have a connotation, I think, that's dehumanizing and coarsening. But and maybe you think I'm splitting hairs when I call them thugs. Maybe you're saying, well, that isn't that? No, it's thuggish behavior, violence. Bigots, well, they're calling us Jew media. Oath breakers, I think they are breaking their oath as police. Cowards, I think they are hiding their faces. I have to try and have some meaning behind my insults. Does that make sense? Does that make it any better? I'll let you be the judge of that. Zona Rosa, $16. I was so disturbed by this that I called Montreal police on Saturday. The first officer told me I'm from Ontario and hung up on me. I called back and other officers were slightly more friendly. You know what? One of the cops said to Yankee, why do you guys hate us? What, you mean other than the fact that you constantly arrest us, ticket us, handcuff us, try and storm our Airbnb without cause, physically assault us, detain David in a filthy jail cell for 6 other than that? I think they're just so used to submissive local media, they've never been scrutinized before. Or maybe if you scrutinize the Montreal police, you sleep with the fishes. I don't know. Blackface Groper donated $8. Outstanding work. Jeff from Alberta donated $5. I'm trying to get away from the technocrat oligarchy. Are you or any rebel team on Gab? I'm not sure if we're on Gab. Craxus donated $10. Thanks. What If donated $8. Can you guys put up on your website, your store, a rebel flag? I would really like to buy one. Would be willing to pay up to $80. The bigger the better. Could hang it up on my balcony. I really like that idea. Like just a big cloth Rebel News word mark. Do you want to send a note to A10 to the effect? I like that. Just a simple, and it could be a flag. You could theoretically fly it on a flagpole, right? So those brass eyelets, you know, that's a good idea. Sea Moon donated $14. I'm absolutely saddened by this, Ezra. Sending love and best wishes to all Canadians. Keep strong, Rebel. Your love from England. That's nice. Thank you. Indignant and unnerved, $8. Is there any significant party left that hasn't bowed a knee to totalitarianism? Yeah, haven't heard a peep from the Conservatives, from any of them about this. Have you? Zed donated $4. Here's a link to make a complaint. Oh, okay, thank you. Firegenix Gaming, $50. Thank you. Thanks for fighting the good fight. Keep up the great work, and don't let them push you around. Sue each one of them. I think we have to, you know. Rebel for Truth, $5. Thank you. Turt, $10. Praying for Canada. Yeah, well, we need all the prayers we can get. MEC, $2. Video today, 2 Alberta doctors speak out. Dr. Hodkinson. Yeah, he's great. My Scrappin' Mama, $3. Keep up the good work exposing the corrupt police. A. Baudouin donated $5. Thank you. Greg T, $10. Thank you. Fraser McBurning, $18. Yesterday at our peaceful rally, the masked bandit cops rushed down on us with pre-made $880 tickets. I believe it. We all trying to get out, and they left like children. Roy Ellsworth donated $7. Thank you. Bruce Predham donated $80. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Zona Rosa donated $8. If a fellow male was pushed, another male officer wouldn't have rushed to defend him, but male officers will overreact for a female officer. This is why women as police is a mistake. Well, I said to one, there was a woman officer who was being very provocative, and I think one of the trouble is, if you are not physically large and strong and commanding, a lot of the non-lethal options of policing are close to you. So if you're a 5'0", 100-pound policewoman, you can shout at someone, but it's not going to scare them the same way like a 6'6", 300-pound, 250-pound guy, 400. Well, we had the 300-pound guy. Like, let's say you're 6'6", 180 pounds, fit, strong, loud voice, and a sense of command. You go. That's going to carry a lot more weight than a 100-pound, 5'0" woman who does it. And so that female officer will not get compliance in the same way a big, strong cop would. And so she will have to resort to other tools, taser, gun. So she'll have to escalate because she doesn't have the natural command. And I think there's also another issue that such an officer knows what she would be like, and so do her colleagues. So there's an overcompensation factor there too. I'm not saying that, I'm not against women police. I'm just saying that in certain situations, like on the beat, or where physical altercations and high temperatures are, it may actually lead to more altercations because less violent, charismatic, authoritative bellowing would work, and some of these petite cops don't have that inherently. I don't know. I don't think I'm the first to say that. I think we saw that in Calgary when Ocean Weisblatt, this big kid on an ice rink, these two female cops just couldn't take him down. They were kicking at him, they were shouting at him, threatening to taser him. They were swearing. They lost their cool. And he wasn't even resisting. They just could not make this big hockey player tumble. It was just really, really bizarre. And I think it's simply because they were weak. And that's not an insult, that's an observation. Lisa Proust, how you doing? It was great to see you. It's great to see you, Lisa. Love Rebel News Forever. Thank you for all you do. Ezra and your team, your courage is boundless. Shout out to Justin. Lisa, I really enjoyed seeing you, and I'm sorry we didn't have more time to talk. I was very distracted that day, but I'm glad we had a chance to say hi and take a picture together. Canadian Song Emperor, $3. Why do you think a woman being picked on is worse than a man being picked on? I don't understand that mindset. Well, I think it's a natural instinct. I think when you have a man picking on a woman, I think there's a power imbalance there, especially if it's a police officer male and the woman's done nothing wrong, which she did nothing wrong. It happened twice on the weekend. We had obviously women on our team, and 2 women who were particularly inoffensive and particularly mild-mannered and didn't do anything aggressive or escalating were picked on deliberately by the cops. It does motivate me in a way that, I mean, listen, I don't like David being pushed around either, but I think it's human nature. If you see a woman being bullied by any male, especially a cop, do you not feel an inner reaction to protect? And in that case, I swore at the cops for the misconduct. It didn't fix the problem, but at least let them know someone was watching. Selena donated $3. Search Carrie Porter from St. Catharines. Yeah, I saw her rant on Facebook. She's just some crazy lady screaming into the wind. Tom Martin, $5. Keep on exposing the sickness in the police force. I find it very hard. In fact, I like, as I've said before, the first 45 years of my life, no one was more pro-cop than me. I have a tough time saying those words these days now that I've seen it and experienced it. I'm sorry, I just look forward to the time when we're out of this authoritarian era and police go back to enforcing crimes and being helpers and trustworthy people instead of being vicious extortionists as they were. They literally said, we'll let David out of jail if you let us on your boat without a warrant. Sorry, that's not policing, that's extortion. AMT, regarding corrupt cops, I was PMing a friend yesterday who said he just heard from someone that was at Grace Life Church yesterday. It was crooked, plainclothes cops that tore down the fence. I don't know. I think Sheila was there, and Sheila, we didn't have a chance to get into today. I think they were well-meaning outsiders, or maybe not well-meaning, I don't know, but I don't think they were agents provocateurs. I don't think so. I think there were people who said, I'm just not going to stand for this fence, and I'm just going to do something about it. I don't think it was agents provocateurs. The members of the church said, put the fence back up. The fence is not the problem. And I see their point. I also see the other point, that the fence is the symptom. Corey asked $5, do you have update on Grace Life and Sheila? Great coverage of Montreal. Stuart from Global seems to miss the point. We do have a bunch of updates from Sheila, and I think we're getting those out. We just understand that 17 of our people were literally detained. Detained or blocked from access from our stuff, and so we're like 3 days behind in processing everything. Sheila will be on tomorrow. We'll talk about it. There's so much, like I think we have 20 videos, like airplanes waiting to land at a runway or waiting to take off. There's just air traffic control, and our editors were out there too, and it was also exhausting. So I think people took yesterday off. Well, actually, that's not even true. Mocha and David and Yankee all went back out yesterday. You know, our staff likes to work full tilt, but everyone needs like at least 1 day off a week, don't you think? Alex Davey, Duke, 100 smackers. Thank you, my friend. Glad that 30% does not go to YouTube and the charitable donation is set up for lawyers. Excellent. Yeah, if you go to fightthefinance.com, you actually get a charity receipt, because that project is now being sponsored by a registered Canadian charity. I won't go into it now, but if you go to fightthefinance.com, you can actually get a charitable donation receipt, which I think is very cool. And it looks like, what is that, 377 people taking advantage of that. So in the past, you click on Fight the Finance donation, the money goes to Rebel News, we give you like a regular receipt, and we pay the lawyers. But now, you go to fightthefinance.com, and the donation actually goes to a charity, not to us. And the charity pays the lawyers directly, doesn't pay us. So the money doesn't even go to Rebel News. It goes directly through the charity to the civil liberties lawyers, and because the charity has as one of its charitable objects civil liberties litigation, you get a tax receipt that you can use at tax time. And I went on a charity calculator. Can you go to the Red Cross charity calculator? I know I'm taking a bit of a deviation here, but for folks who are thinking of helping, just Google Red Cross charity calculator. I just use theirs because it's pretty good, but there's a lot of Canadian charity calculators. What do I mean by a charity calculator? Let's say you were going to give $100. In the olden days, you give $100 to Rebel News, you give $100. It costs you $100, and that's after tax dollars. Just Google charity. Yeah, perfect. So now this is the Red Cross. So we're in Ontario. It's different. It's slightly different for every province because every province's income tax is slightly different. So let's say you were going to give $100. So type in $100, calculate, and then you see on the right there. So you get a provincial tax credit, federal tax credit. So you actually get $20 off your taxes. So you donated 100, but it's only like you donated 80. Now pump it up, add another zero there. Let's say you're feeling really generous. If you donate $1,000, as you can see, it's actually costs you just over 600 and something. So because you're in a higher tax bracket, right? So you're using more. I think that's how we're. I'm not a tax expert. I'm relying on the Red Cross. Okay, just go crazy for a second. Add another zero. So you can see, and I mean, such a donor would be very rare. But if you have the means, and we're actually thinking of really helping our fight the fines, if you donated $10,000, and again, a guy can dream, right? You would get almost $4,000 back at tax time. So, like I mentioned to someone else the other day, would you rather give that tax, you see that tax credit, just let's call it $4,000, it's just under $4,000. Would you rather that go to Justin Trudeau or to these civil liberties lawyers, right? Like, unfortunately, you've got to pay tax, all right? Would you rather that tax go to Trudeau, or would you rather that tax, you get a credit for it because you sent it to the Civil Liberties Project, Fight the Fines? By the way, I was the third donor to this project. I just donated $100. I might donate more later. I got the receipt. I'm going to keep it for tax time. So I donated 100. It's only going to cost me 80. I mean, obviously, I've been supporting the whole thing since the beginning, but I wanted to test out the system, and it works great. Just an idea. Laura donated $1.19. The Daily Wire did a video recently called COVID Mask and Social Distancing Arrest Montage. Oh boy, that sounds like good. I like the Daily Wire. M donated $5. Canada needs Rebel News now more than ever. Scott donated $2. None are so blind as those who refuse to see. Yeah, the CDC and Canada's Theresa Tam have changed their views on so many things. Spiral donated $2. Do you think if Sun News was alive today, it would be Canada's equivalent to Fox News? I do. Yeah, I do. Philippe Brevard donated again. Thank you. With a boss such as you, I'd go to the front again, Ezra, chanting and happy. Hope your employees appreciate your passion and ethics. That would be military officer worthy. Ducimus. I don't know what Ducimus means. I'm sorry. When I speak Latin, I sort of pretend that I know what I'm saying. What's up, A10? Oh, I'm told I haven't got the final receipt. I got a receipt saying I will get the final receipt. Okay, I did get a receipt explaining that. Not the one that I'll use at tax time. Okay, so I was just corrected. I did get a receipt saying, that's correct, I'm sorry, and I appreciate the correction. I got a receipt, I donated $100, and I got a receipt saying, this is a donation to the Democracy Fund for the Civil Liberties Project, Fight the Fines. You will receive an official receipt later. So thank you for the correction, but I did get something back, and I did make a $100 donation. What does Ducimus mean? Am I even pronouncing that right? I like to drop a little bit of Latin, but I admit I'm faking it about half the time. I think Ducimus means we lead, right? I just Googled that, so that's what I'm guessing. Royalist donated $4. We will not make justices, constables, sheriffs, or other ministers except of such who know the manner of the kingdom and mean to observe it well from the Magna Carta. Manner of the kingdom translates legem regni, which translates mishpat hamelcha. Well, the Magna Carta certainly inspired so much of Western law. It also codified law that predates it by centuries. Only a couple of sections from the Magna Carta remain in effect. Most of the Magna Carta was amended over time, even though its spirit lives on. I think the approach to the Magna Carta is to be inspired by it, but some people take it too literally and they come up with homemade alternatives to real law. And I think that gets them into trouble because I mean, I'm a former lawyer myself, and I know a little bit, but I can tell you, having a real practicing Quebec lawyer with a familiarity in criminal law procedure was indispensable to our success over the weekend. Slowing the cops down, calming them down, letting them know that we had an expert watching over what they were doing. If we did not have that lawyer on the ground, I think police would have taken tremendous liberties. A lawyer has a certain title called officer of the court. By being a lawyer, a member of the bar, you have certain ethical obligations, but you have certain privileges as well. And having a lawyer on the scene, our lawyer came 15, 20 minutes after we called him. Like, it was very quick. He was stuck in traffic a little bit, but it was very quick. And he spent the whole day down there, whole day. So he would have been there 10 hours. And back and forth and talking to the cops and talking to this and calling other lawyers. And he worked very hard. And by the way, he did great. I run a little hot. I know this will come as a surprise to you, but I like to have a lawyer that's cool, because I can be hot. I need a cool lawyer who's going to say, whoa, pump the brakes a bit, buddy. Here's an issue, there's an issue. But it was excellent, and I very much enjoyed spending the day with him. And he actually came out with us the night before on the streets, because we were worried that we would need a lawyer with us on the streets. So how do we pay for that lawyer? And worth every penny, might I add. Crowdfunding. That's what we do. You can donate at rebelnews.com, at lockdownreports.com, fightthefines.com. That only goes to civil liberties litigation. Or even through our Rebel Chat here. All right, let me hurry up because it's 1:26. I got to keep cracking, keep going here. Chatham Rebel fan, $5. You know, Montreal would not be with us today if the British would not have felt bad for these bums. Well, listen, I want to tell you that we felt tremendous support in Montreal. Tremendous. The very first night, I was going out with, who was I with? A very new cameraman and a fairly new cameraman producer. Yeah, so, but it was just me and two other guys at first. So we were going out at night, and I bumped into a guy who was actually just sort of a security guard for the Port Authority. I mean, yeah, that's what it looked at night. But it was just me and two guys who had really never been on TV for us before. And the security said, "Are you with Rebel News?" And he had a French accent, so obviously he's Francophone primarily. And I thought, isn't that incredible? We've gone from zero to and when Mocha and David are on the streets, people mob them and swamp them, and our fans were coming down. As word spread about this trauma, fans started coming down by the dozen. There were, I don't know what there were at the height, probably 100. It's incredible to me, and the demographic of our supporters. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, who was your demographic? I'd say, oh, it's sort of guys like me. You know, 40s and 50s, maybe in Alberta, maybe in the oil patch, or farmers, or, you know, sort of traditional right-wingers or whatever. I don't know. But if you ask me who they are now, well, it's incredible. I mean, in Quebec, it's people 20 to 30, almost equal numbers men and women, people who probably would call themselves apolitical or maybe even liberal, who are just shocked at how their civil liberties are removed and how the pandemic is being used as an excuse. I think we got a very short video of Alex reclaiming the boat. So we had a lot of people, and Alex went on, he had a little narrative, I liked it. So he was actually walking onto the boat. I wouldn't mind showing that just for a second. Do you have that handy, sort of surprise you? So, I mean, I just want to let you know, with this stressful day, we were fighting, hollering. David had the worst day. They were pushing us around. They were just really abusing things, trying to threaten us, and then suddenly it was over. And here's Alex going on the boat. So I think I was on the boat by then. I think I was upstairs. But so it's just, as you can see, it's just like a Airbnb. Like, there's nothing weird there. You saw our computer and some of our gear. You even saw on the table there the breakfast, because we were doing nothing wrong or nothing weird. Like, you see that big computer there? that big Apple computer on the end. Like, our guys brought their computers, like we were editing on the boat. It's a boat, it's a houseboat. Like, so you come in, you see the lunch on the left, but you see that big computer on the right? Like, there's no way in hell I'm letting police come on the boat and taking our rebel computers. I'm just not letting it happen. So so there's some breakfast on the table there, and then down below are the rooms, and then on the roof is where I was giving my little thing. I'm not letting police in there. Get a warrant. This was a tweet sent last week, but we missed it. Sorry about that. Hoekman donated $30. Thanks, Ezra. Do you know there are some churches in the States that are praying for the persecution in Canada? Go even more after this ridiculous and horrible communist actions. No words for this. I'm 20 years in Canada as a free country. With lots of coverage of the church. Sheila's working on that right now, and I'm sorry we haven't talked about it a lot today. Harry Friesen, $7. Grace Life Church update. Sheila was there, and forgive us, we just got a backlog for the reasons I said earlier. Lauren Alexander, $50. Thanks, Lauren, that's really nice. Appreciate that. Ray W, $35. Keep up the good fight. Thank you. Darlene, $20. Keep on the fight. Sue the police. I think we have to. I think someone has to. Adam donated $100. Here's a little thug fighting money. Cheers, team. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a license to use the word thug. You saw what they were doing. Do you think it's okay for me to use the word thug? You maybe? Do we use it too often? It's used a lot. Used a lot on Saturday. I'll give you a little secret. That word has a bit of a menacing edge to it, right? Saying it even sounds like a different word. It sounds like F-U-C-K. Thug. Thug. You thug. Like if you say it, it almost sounds like a swear, right? Yeah. So the fact that it's a little bit of a menacing word, it's a mean word, and it sounds a little bit like a swear, I'm just speaking personally. That word is therefore sort of a safety valve for me, so I don't say the bad word. It's a substitute. It's like Diet Coke versus Coke. You know? I got to say something. I'm steaming mad. And if I don't say the word thug, like I can't just say, you naughty, naughty lads. Oh, we'll have a word with you, I bother. Oh, we'll take you to the magistrate's court of law, and you'll have to explain yourself before you know, I mean, you can't do that. When you're in the thick of it, when you see your people roughed up, you can't be fancy-pantsy. And you feel within you various strong emotions of injustice and rage, and they're picking on people, and look at them focus on the girls, and look at them pushing David around, and that's not fair, and they want to search our place, and I know that's wrong, and I used to be a lawyer myself, and I'm appalled by the injustice. If you don't let that out, so I think thug is absolutely acceptable, and I would say that I say that word and I get some of the anger out, so I don't say worse things. When in some of those videos we played earlier today, people were using the F word, people were using other words, other swears, people were saying pigs, people were saying scum. I do not believe our people ever said pigs. All cops are bastards. These are phrases of the left, actually. We didn't say those things. It's hard not to when you're physically being attacked in the manner we were. But I think we comported ourselves fine. I did swear once when they were picking on a girl from our team. Brent donated $2. Please stop referring to people's physical appearance as fat. Makes me cringe and takes away from your message. Listen, again, same thing. It's I'm very mad. I'm in the moment. I'm just seething at these people. And I see a fat cop and I try and make a joke. That's all it is. I see a fat cop and it's a self-deprecating joke. Oh, you give me hope I can join the police. Do you see that that's a insult, but it's a two-way insult? Do you see what I mean? Do you think it's okay for me to fat? And here's why it's relevant. And it's not. First of all, when you're fat, you can make a fat joke. It's the reason why Chris Rock can make black jokes that maybe Jerry Seinfeld couldn't. And likewise, Jerry Seinfeld makes so many Jewish jokes, and a guy has a license for that, right? So therefore, a fatty can make a fat joke with some impunity. But also, it actually is somewhat relevant. If I was criticizing a lawyer for being fat, what's the relevance? But a cop being fat goes to Are you actually a real cop? Like, did they really lower the standards that bad? Like, cops are supposed to be fit, and you're not. You don't exactly seem to be regulation. So I would justify my calling that fat cop fat in 3 ways. First of all, I'm fat, so I get to. Second of all, I was saying it in a self-deprecating and sort of lighthearted way. And third of all, it actually is relevant when you, just like there's some extremely fat health ministers in the world, or even Doug Ford, excuse me. Rob Ford, rest in peace. Doug Ford. Judging by what I know I weigh, I think Doug Ford's at least 300. I really do. So he's giving us advice on being healthy, eh? Can you Google Health Minister Belgium? You're not even going to believe what you're about to see. So it's irrelevant calling out people for being fat. I agree 99% of the time. But when you are telling other people, scolding other people, limiting other people, that is the health minister of Belgium. For your health, she's got lots of advice. Is it mean to bring attention to her own lack of health? It might be. But sometimes facts are mean. And I think that it's okay to mention that if she is being abusive and lecturing. I think it's fair. Do you think it's fair? And now again, she's a woman, so maybe it feels more unfair. How about Doug Ford? Yeah, you can take that out. How about Doug Ford? Doug Ford's 300 pounds, and he's telling us about eating cheesecake. Right? He says, eat cheesecake. I got the cheesecake recipe, everybody, for your health. No, fatty, I don't think you really care about health. I think you like power. All right, let's speed up. Okay, so I politely disagree with you, Brent, about calling fat people fat, because I think I have a little bit of wiggle room there. Madeline Saviscus donated $7. Thank you. Mario 27, $8. Grew up behind the Iron Curtain. At least we all knew everything was a lie. This does not look like Canada we fell in love with almost 30 years ago. Looks more and more actually like returning of fascism. Keep it up. A lot of people from the Eastern Bloc say that. Dave Gilbert, $10. Thanks. Redfish, $10. Keep up the good media. Thank you. Herring Cover, $40. Thanks, Rebels, for your courage to report the truth, especially to Sheila, being an encouragement to the Great Lakes. Sheila's the best. I really wish she could have come to our Montreal excursion, but I knew it was important. She knew it was important to be at Grace Life Church. Stephen donated $5. So could this possibly just have been a concerted effort to keep rebel news away from the protests? That's a great observation, Stephen, and it did dawn on me. And we did manage to get a little squad of, I think, about 4 guys and gals who got off the boat and went to cover the protest nonetheless. Now, as it turns out, I'm advised that the protest was largely uneventful, that in fact the big event, during the day at least, was our own illegal siege and search of the Airbnb. But that's exactly what I thought too. Barb Duffy, $20, thank you. Kat Gale, $20, thank you. Jose Martins, $50. It's a very sad what's going on. Carry on the great job. Go to hear back from you. Well, we're not done with that city. In fact, we met some wonderful people. I hope to hire an additional full-time reporter from Montreal who is a native francophone. So she will, I met her, wonderful. I just want to do a little more process, but in fact, if you go to our careers page, rebelnews.com/careers, you can see we've been looking for a full-time Montrealer for a few months now, and I think we may have found our candidate. I love David Menzies, donated $10. Well, right there. Now, my skeptical lenses are on. No, I'm kidding around. Listen, we rib David, we have fun with David, and no one pokes fun at himself more than David does. He is lovable. He absolutely is lovable. And that actually is one of his superpowers, is that because of his charming style, his friendliness, his hail fellow well met approach, his always taking people, giving people the benefit of the doubt, always keeping his calm even when other people raise the temperature. I think he has won the hearts of people across this country, and even in Quebec. In fact, he was telling me how incredible he found it, that so many Quebecers recognized him and supported him. And I don't think he speaks a word of French other than maybe menu. And I think he really had a good time, other than his detour through what sounded like a horrendous jail cell. Sounded like they put him literally in the worst place. Again, just a psyop to try and break him and break us. I don't think it'll work. This donation is especially for David. I'm his biggest fan. By the way, thug means a cheat in Hindi. Love Rebel Media. I'm glad we can get to donate full money to you directly. Hated YouTube getting 30%. Keep it up. Thank you. Mike Epp, €5 through the Super Chat. You are an encouragement in your firm stand. It is too dangerous for me to try to do things like engaging police and whatnot. I would get in trouble. You're so right. And I don't think this has not been stressful for us. It has been stressful for us, and the only way we have the strength to do it is A, we had some planning, B, we know we didn't break the law, C, we had a lawyer on site, and D, we know we have the support of you. Carousel Rod, $4, thank you very much. All right, well, are there any other videos that's, sure, you know, I want to show you one last video, because I do have to go sort of soon. And by the way, thank you all for your support. And if you're watching this on our main YouTube channel, you'll see it's demonetized. That's why we have the Streamlabs workaround. We have a YouTube Clips channel that has some remnants of Super Chat on it. And we have that Streamlabs. And are we also on Rumble? Is that right? We're on Rumble, but there's no monetization. We have a website called afteryoutube.com. Do you want to go there just for a second? I think YouTube is moving to kill us. They won't explain why. There's no video we've done that's broken the terms of service. We have not got what's called a strike. So we have this page called afteryoutube.com, and scroll down. We have 3 things you can do to help. Number 1, sign up. Why? So we can contact you when we're shut down. Number 2, just FYI, here we are on Rumble, Odyssey, Minds, BitChute, Parler, and Telegram. And number 3, gotta ask, if you can help us make for the demonetization shortfall, I'd be grateful. So those are the 3 things. You can find them all at afteryoutube.com. I want to show you one last video before we go. And it just happened this weekend in a lovely, the weather was so lovely. I mean, you could see I got a little bit of sun there. My face was really red when I was on the rooftop, wasn't I? I didn't wear a hat all day. I'm terrible that way. So we had our action, and there was a protest. But in the park, some guy, I don't know the full story here because the Montreal police are awful. It's so bad, I want to give you a warning, a viewer's warning. Look what the Montreal police did to some guy in the park. Take a look.
Why is he choking him? Yeah, I'm gonna dip too. Yeah. That is not okay. Fucking choke him.
Is that sort of what they did to George Floyd? Am I saying his name right, George Floyd? It's reminiscent of what happened to George Floyd, isn't it? I think. What were there, like 8 cops on that guy? Was it 8? Yeah, and a full chokehold. And why was he just wailing on him like that? Like he was of no threat. When you have 8 people pinning you down, you could be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're not getting up. Can you put that up? I want to count the cops. And he was completely, like he wasn't flailing about. Like he's completely immobilized, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 cops in the scene there. Here comes an 8th cop. Boom, boom, boom. Here comes a 9th cop. Just pounding on him. Got his neck in a chokehold. Yeah, and just get that neck. Why? He's completely immobilized. Is he not wearing a mask? Or, you know what, and again, I don't want to be the guy who rushes to racism, but that fellow looked either Aboriginal or a visible minority. And again, there may have been a reason other than his race. There may have been a reason other than his mask. But after what I've learned about the Montreal police and what you've learned, what do you think? And by the way, where's the media? How many stories has the Canadian media, the Montreal media, the Quebec media done on George Floyd in the States? That's safe, though. That's far away. Why aren't they doing the story of what they did in their own city? That happened this weekend when we were down there. We were not on site. Jose Martins donated $50. Thank you, Jose. I forgot to mention supporting you from Denmark. All the best for all of you. Well, that's very nice of you. Thanks. Am I caught up on the Super Chats? All right, my friends. I have to go because it's 1:45 and I got other stuff that I have to do in the day. But I appreciated spending this time with you. We had a staff meeting this morning and we talked to almost everybody. There's still a couple folks who weren't on the call. And I should tell you that the mood at Rebel News is resolute. There were some people who were quite new to our company that this was a startling thing. But I think the fact that we won in the end, that no judge gave the search warrant to the cops, that the cops blinked and we didn't. I think the fact that we had a vindication confirmed for our team that we were on the side of the right. The fact that we had some planning in place, we had a lawyer on standby, that our viewers were supportive. Even 100 people showed up on the scene. You could see them. None of those had a real clear shot of them, but we had a lot of people there. And some of them were very rude to the police. I didn't choose to stop them, but they said things to the cops that even we didn't say. It's a weird thing. Both the left wing and the right wing in Montreal hate their police. I think the one thing that unifies Montrealers is their disgust for their police force. I mean, you tried at home, Google Montreal police corruption. You saw what happened. Justin literally typed those 3 words into Google. He just typed them in. I did not know there was 2.5 million hits when you type in Montreal police corruption. I did not, that's the one thing. I had typed that in before because I was doing some research, but I didn't look at the number of hits. So our team knows that we were right, that we were prepared, that we did all we could. Our team sees that we will back David Menzies up all the way. Our team knows that we will continue telling the other side of the story, and we won't be stopped by some thugs. I'll say that word, thugs, thug, 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 shame, shame, shame. Those were the 2 words I used a lot. I used oathbreaker also. And for that one cop, I called him fat. If you can help me, help our team, there was a friendly comment, I'm not sure, I forget who was it, Philip Brevard maybe, who said he thought that my leadership was effective. I thank you for that comment. I see my role very simply, and that is to absolutely protect and support any rebel who incurs any risk in the service of our mission. So, for example, and we didn't even talk about what Drea was up to this weekend. Drea had a busy weekend. So we had 2 bodyguards we hired for Drea. I haven't got the bill for that yet. I'm going to guess that's close to $1,000 to have 2 professional, licensed, insured bodyguards for her for half a day. It's probably $1,000, including tax and all that, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because there's no way I will allow, because she was at an event that there was some risk at. She was there for me, for us, for you, the viewer. I'm not going to let Drea be exposed to that unnecessary risk. Now, what if the risk comes from the police? You can't hire security to protect yourself against police. Well, we hire lawyers. And we holler, and we sue, and we keep supporting our people no matter what. Now that costs money, as you know, and that's why I keep asking. People say, Ezra, why are you always crowdfunding? Well, because we're always doing journalism on the leading edge, that's why. I just heard, thank you, the security bill for Drea this weekend was $900. And you know what? I wouldn't even think of not doing it. Wouldn't even think of it. We didn't think we needed security in Montreal, especially when you're rolling with 17 people. But we knew we needed lawyers. And we had one lawyer on the scene and 2 other lawyers on the phone. So we had 3 lawyers helping us on the weekend. Now, where does that money come from? It comes from you, my friends. I do not know the cost of this weekend yet. Defending David is probably 20 grand. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at the charges against him. I read in the press that they're purporting to send a bunch of infractions to us in the mail. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and hit us with like 30 grand worth of fines. We're going to fight those. How much will that cost to fight those? 5, 10 grand, 20 grand, I don't know. But I think we have to not just be defensive. I think we have to go on the initiative. I think we have to sue the police, and I think we have enough to make a case. I think we can show that the police have a pattern of harassment against us, that sometimes are motivated by improper motives. I think they said some anti-Semitic things to Yankee. Jew media, are you the Jew media? Are you a Jew? What does that got to do with anything? I think they target our people regardless of race just because we're pointing cameras at them. And I think their raid this weekend was so dishonorable that I think all taken together, the Montreal police have a wicked vendetta against us. And I don't even think it's a Jewish thing. I think it's just they are so used to unaccountable power. Like that fella on the ground there, I don't know if he was black or Aboriginal, I don't know. Could well have been a racist thing, absolutely could have been. Or could have just been the biggest gang in Montreal decided they didn't like a guy for something. And by biggest gang in Montreal, I mean their corrupt police force. I just couldn't even believe going through those headlines there that were randomly but from Google. So I really do need your help, because I think that if I did not give the support to our team that I like to give, if I did not give them bodyguards, if I did not give them lawyers, if I did not agree to fight their fines and their tickets for them, I don't think we could do what we do, because these are stressful and risky adventures we go on, and the only way that any normal person can be a part of that if they know the company's got their back. And the only way I can have our journalists back is if you help me pay the $900 security bill for Drea. God knows what the legal bill from Montreal is going to be. And that's part of the other side's plan. Why? I mean, how many tickets have they given the Yankee? Like 15 or something? Like a huge number of tickets. They know those tickets are BS. But they know that Yankees got to fight them all. So how much time is that? How much lawyers' fees? They're not doing it because they actually think Yankees doing anything wrong. They're doing it to slow him down, harass him, stress him out, make him worried, make him scared, make him sad, make him feel poor, make him worried. What happens if I'm convicted of these? I could go bankrupt. Like that's what they're doing to everyone. It's a giant psyop on the whole country. Look at this. So far, I've gotten $6,739 worth of fines for being out and telling you the story of the curfew in Montreal. If you can help us fight these fines, please go to fightthefines.com. Yeah, I mean, Yankee's a young guy. I don't know quite how young, 20s, whatever. Find me at 25. Find me a 25-year-old. What was that? 6,739. Is that right? Find me a 25-year-old who can pay 6-7 grand worth of fines. You can't. You can't. And you shouldn't, by the way, because you didn't do anything wrong. All right, I got to get out of here. Do I have any more super chats? Am I behind? Do we have a dog video? All right, folks. Help out if you can at lockdownreports.com. We're going to need the help. I promise we'll keep at it. Our staff is in good spirits, mainly because we won. Like you play that kind of a staring contest with 50 cops, and you win? That's a good feeling. All right, I'll say goodbye to you now, and here's a dog video.